Hey, Brandy.
Hi, Spencer. Thanks for coming in today to take the time to train with me.
Thank you for taking the time to train me.
Okay, so I'm just going to go over a little bit about the program itself and why we're going to be training the specific skill for the client that we're working with.
Okay.
It's definitely an important aspect to have the skills and knowledge of how to man with PECS. If you don't know what PECS is, it's a picture exchange communication system. Right. It's mostly used with nonverbal learners, and we have one particular client who is 5 years old and is currently learning how to communicate and man with her PECS binder. I have an example here as well, but we'll go into that a little bit later. I'll just start off by giving you a brief overview of the communication system itself and why our program is being implemented.
Okay.
So overall, we want our client to be able to independently choose PEC images for what they're manding or requesting for, and to aim to have an 80% accuracy over 10 consecutive trials.
Okay.
So the specific session will just focus on learning the target behavior so that you'll feel comfortable enough to engage with the client one-on-one and kind of do a session with myself observing you and just understand how she should be forming the target behavior and know what to do if she performs it incorrectly.
Okay.
So the rationale for why we have chosen this behavior for our client, her name is Lily, is because it will improve her communication skills with others and is a large part of her verbal behavior program.
Okay.
So she's still kind of learning how to vocally express what she wants and needs, so this program itself is just kind of being implemented to help her with that. So Manding with PECS will ultimately help Lily be able to request desired items, activities, wants and needs, kind of on her own without the help of myself or a mediator.
Okay.
And that will help her in various environments and help the trainer and mediator to understand what she may need help with in the future with her future programs. So this program specifically will lead to more independence hopefully and will help Lily adapt to various situations if she's able to communicate with her PECS binder.
Okay.
Do you have any questions so far?
I don't have any questions, no.
Okay. So manding itself can be seen as requesting for desired items, and you as the mediator in the situation are there to give them access to that item or activity as they're requesting it.
Okay.
So this can also be understood as giving them reinforcement as well. So in the specific example with our client, her desired activity most of the time involves using the swing. So we have a swing located over there in the center, and she likes being pushed on the swing. So as a mediator, it is your job to give her access to that as she performs the target behavior correctly.
Okay.
So exchanging is also an important concept of PECS because the client needs to exchange the proper PECS photo with you in order to properly request something. So if the client per se reaches for a distractor, so a distractor would be, say you have your PECS binder and you have multiple photos, there's going to be one picture that she specifically needs to pick out and give to you,
right.
And all of the other photos are going to be considered as distractors. So if she reaches for one of those distractors, which is necessarily not something that she wants to do in that moment, or it's not related to her desired activity,
okay.
You as a mediator are required to use a physical prompt, which basically requires you to put the distractor photo back into the pile and pick up her desired photo.
Okay.
So per se, if she wants to use a swing, but she picks up a photo of an apple, you're to take the apple and put it back, and then pick up the photo of the swing and hand it to her, and then she's expected to hand it back to you. So you can then ask what she wants after returning the photo of the swing, and then she'll be expected to pick up that proper photo and hand it to you to request what her desire is in that moment.
Okay.
So that itself is just considered to be an exchange. Once the client has handed the correct photo to you, you're required to deliver the reinforcement for her. So the first time when she was to hand you the apple, obviously reinforcement shouldn't be given, but once you put the apple back and she hands you the photo of the swing, she can then have the reinforcement to go use it.
Okay.
So it's definitely important to make sure that you fade this prompt though, because you definitely don't want her to become dependent on the fact that you will always be there to pick the correct photo for her.
Okay.
So placing it back on the table and then asking her again what she wants to make sure that she picks the correct photo is definitely a good way to fade that prompt out. Making sure that you ask her again as well will help her to get that desired activity. So to add, you must also understand the concept and technique of error correction, because this will be used if Lily is unable to perform the target behavior correctly.
Right.
So in the example I just provided you, with her choosing a photo that she doesn't actually want or one of the distractor photos, you are to make sure that she does not receive obviously any reinforcement and to error correct her by handing her the correct photo. So by picking up that photo of the swing and handing it to her and making her realize that that's the correct photo of the activity she wants is an example of the error correction.
Okay.
So once she chooses that correct photo and hands it back to you and completes the target behavior correctly, then you can administer the reinforcement of her using the swing. So I'm just going to give you a background on manding and how it's operationally defined.
Okay.
So as a client, she needs to be near and in view of her PECS binder or her materials, and removing a desired PECS image of an item or activity, followed by handing the desired photo to you as a mediator in order to fulfill the desire.
Okay.
So reinforcement should be delivered once this behavior occurs, and doing so will hopefully lead to an increase in the child's ability to demand and request for that item or activity.
Okay.
Reinforcement will only be delivered if the target behavior is performed correctly, like mentioned before.
Right.
And it needs to be performed exactly like it was described in the operational definition. So our goal with this program is specifically to give our client the opportunity to learn and gain as many words as possible in the hope that she will obviously become more independent.
Right.
And that she will obviously continue to demand on a daily basis in the center and at home, at school, and any environment that she's in. So it's also important to know whether or not the client is performing a prompted mand or a spontaneous mand. Do you know the difference between the two?
I do not.
Okay. So you're going to be collecting daily data on these events as well. So this will hopefully help in turn to see how the manding program is effective and whether or not it needs to be changed or continued. So just to begin, I'm going to give you the instruction of how to perform the target behavior.
Okay.
Just so that you're able to see how the client should respond correctly. I'm going to model it for you, and then after that I'm going to get you to rehearse it back to me.
That'd be great.
And then I'm just kind of going to mark you on how you do so.
Okay.
And I'll also provide an example of a spontaneous man and a prompted man just for your information.
Great.
So we have an example here.
And this is the PECS book.
Yes.
Okay.
So it might look a little differently just depending on the client. Some people have different photos, some people have more than others.
All right.
But this is just an example of a PECS binder. So I will start off by acting as the mediator, and you will start as acting as the client.
Okay.
So let's just pretend that we finished our work, and you're acting as the client, Lily, in this example.
Okay.
You're nonverbal.
Okay.
So you're using your photos as a way to communicate with me.
Right.
So we'll just say we're done our work, and I'm going to say we're going on a break now. What would you like to do? Okay, so you've handed me a picture of the swing,
Yep.
which is perfect for this example because she likes to use the swing.
Okay.
So in this regard, that is obviously a correct action. So I would put the photo back, and I would give you social praise and say, good job, you can now use the swing.
Okay.
So that's obviously an example of doing it correctly. And then she would immediately get the reinforcement of being able to use the swing.
Okay.
So we will switch roles now. You can be the mediator, and I'll act as the client. And I'm just going to act in a way of doing it incorrectly, just to give you an example.
And you said the girl's name was Lily?
Yes.
Okay, Lily, we're done our session. So, what would you like to do now? Alright, so that is incorrect. This is the swing. Alright. So, Lily, can you show me the picture of the swing? Perfect. Good job. Now we can go to the swing.
Awesome.
I did that correct?
You did, yeah.
Okay.
And I actually didn't even give you any prior information on that, so that was definitely a good example. And I'll give you an example of both the mands as well. So
Okay.
let's just say, so I'll just leave this book beside you.
Yep.
So let's just say we're working together, and you haven't given me any guidance or reference as to what I want to do or what I would like to ask for, but I see this book beside you, and I say either, I can say book,
Okay.
depending on the vocabulary that the client has, or I can take this photo of a book and I can just hand it to you.
Okay.
So now that I've given you this,
Yep.
I can also pair it with the words I want.
Okay.
But if not, I can just give you the photo of the book, and then that way you know that I'm wanting the book in that moment. So you would hand me the book.
And I pray this is for praising you, right?
Yes, because I've asked you for it by myself without
Okay.
any guidance or reference from you, so that would be an example of a spontaneous mand.
Okay.
Because I've manded for the fact that I want the book,
Yeah.
but I did it by myself, so that would be
Okay.
considered spontaneous. The examples that we just went through about how we had finished our work and we were going on break, you asking me what I want,
Yep.
and me picking out the photo of the swing is an example of a prompted mand.
Okay.
So that just means that you are basically just referring me, asking me what I want, and that's giving me the option to choose something out of my binder. So it's considered a prompted mand.
Great.
Yeah. So I think due to what you kind of did with doing it incorrectly, you answered perfectly.
Okay.
I think we might need to have just another session to go over kind of how to work with the client one-on-one.
Yep.
It's important to remember with the feedback just to make sure that the client is requesting your attention before you engage in conversation or asking them what they want to do.
Okay.
So for example, I could tap you on the hand or tap you on the shoulder just to show you that I want your attention.
Right.
And then that would kind of be your clue to say, oh, what do you want or what would you like to do?
Okay.
That way you know for a fact that the client is asking for your attention and that you're both kind of engaged with each other. But other than that, the fact that you kind of gave me the right photo and placed it back down, that kind of showed that I wasn't going to get the reinforcement automatically when
Right,
I picked
okay.
when I picked the wrong photo.
Okay.
So then you asking me again and me picking the right photo means that I understood what you were saying, and then I therefore get the reinforcement of using the swing.
Okay.
So overall, you definitely showed great demonstration of the skill.
Okay.
We'll probably just have to come back for another session. We'll work with the client, and then I will basically just observe what you're doing, and we can go from there.
Great.
Sound good?
I look forward to it.
Awesome. Well, it was nice training you.
Yep.
And I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Brandy.
No problem.